Okay, so I've had a few people ask me how I make these frayed edge napkins, and I first got the idea from a friend who had some that her aunt had made out of her grandfather's old shirts. So I got the idea to make some out of old sheets that I find at the thrift store. So this is the first set that I made, and I just cut the fabric to standard napkin size. And it doesn't have to be perfectly square because the way the fabric is made, once you create the fringed edge, the fabric itself will be perfectly square. The fringe might be a little uneven. You can see here on this side that the fringe is kind of short on this end and gets longer as it gets to this end. And when you're done, you can trim that to even it up if you want. I didn't really care that much about it when I made it because they're just, you know, casual napkins. And honestly, once they're folded up and laying on your lap, you don't really notice it. So I'm going to show you real quick how I make these from start to finish. So I cut a square of fabric. If you are really knowledgeable about fabric, you might have some special way of cutting fabric perfectly square. I don't. I just use scissors. I have a rotary cutter, but scissors are just, I don't know, a little easier, I guess. I like to keep things simple. So I cut a square, and then the easiest way to get started on fringing the edges is to wash the fabric first. I didn't do that with these because I just wanted to go ahead and get started. But usually once you've cut your square, you can find a spot where there's a little edge sticking out, and you can just kind of start pulling there. And it might just pull out a little bit of edge. It might pull all the way out. I can see there's a little thread sticking out here at the bottom, so I'm going to pull that. It's going all the way up. And you just kind of start pulling. Now here I pulled at the bottom and it started going this way. I'm just going to let that hang for a minute, and I'm going to start pulling some more out. Now what I have, you can see here that I've got some edges on the bottom. God, my nails look terrible. Some edges on the bottom that I can start pulling from. So the trick is to make sure that you're pulling the string that's on the farthest outside. If I start pulling this one, which is on the inside, whoops, no, this one's on the inside, then it's going to kind of get stuck. But if I pull the first one first and the other one underneath it, they'll both pull right out together. So you sometimes can get to a point where you can do like 3 or 4 at once. So here I've got 3, and I'm going to hold them just so that the first one, the most outside one, is at the top. The other 2 are underneath. And I'm just going to pull. And sometimes you'll get a little stuck. If you get really stuck, you can sort of pull the edges apart and use something pointy to get down at the one that you're trying to pull. But usually I just turn and go the other direction. As you can see, I've got a lot here. I'm going to get kind of stuck. So I'm going to reach down and kind of grab and pull like that. It'll take a little while for you to get the feel for it. It's hard for me to look through the camera and then also at my hands. So, but you can see we're starting to get that fringed edge here. So you'll kind of develop your own technique. And it can be a little frustrating. It took me a while to kind of get in the groove, but definitely after making 6 or 8 of them, I got a lot faster. And now I can make them, you know, in like 10 or 15 minutes I can make one, depending on, I don't know, how easy it is to pull. Obviously the smaller piece of fabric, a little easier to pull the threads. So that's basically what you do. You just keep going around and around until the fringe is as long as you want it on each side. And then that's it. You're done. Throw it in the wash. I haven't really had any problems with the ones I have unraveling anymore. So this is like a totally, no-sew project. Kind of meditative, fun to do while you're watching TV. That's it. And then you end up with this. Ta-da! All right, there you go.